Hi, I'm Jordana Michelle, creator of Come Out Confidently and Women Wanting Women, the premier online dating, relationship, love, life, and success programs for women like us. And there are links below if you want free access to some of what I teach there. But in this video, I'm going to talk to you guys about the number one thing you can do to end your loneliness right now if you're single. And this is really important because it can be very hard to be single. Now granted, not every woman wants to be in a relationship, but for anyone who is in a place where they really want to find love and they don't have it, this is really painful for us, for any human. We're wired as emotional beings. We're wired to love. We're wired to want to connect deeply. And when we don't have that, there's literally a physical piece of us that's missing. There's like a longing that we feel in a very physical way, this physical longing to have another person close to us. Emotionally, it's sad, it's lonely, and it's confusing and frustrating too when we want something that we don't know how to get in our lives and we don't have it. It could be a very painful situation. And so there are things that we can do to end our loneliness, and that's what I want to focus on in this video, because love is the best. And when you finally do have someone that you can look forward to seeing every day, that you can connect with every night, someone who loves you when you go to sleep at night, and someone you're happy to see when you wake up in the morning, it's the best, and it's the best thing in the whole world. So I want to see you have that, and for anyone who's watching right now who doesn't, I want to start by just thinking about what is happening. Why is it that we don't have what we want in our life in this moment? Well, probably it means that in some way we're stuck. Because there's a famous quote that says, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. When there's something that we have in our life that doesn't make us happy, or when there's something that we want that we can't seem to get, if we keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results, then that's insane. What we really need to do is make change, because things get better by change. They don't get better by chance. Things get better by change. They don't get better by chance. And so if we want to have a different outcome in our life, and we want to have love in our life, and we want to change the situation of our life so that instead of being alone, we have someone we love and are excited about every day, then we have to proactively make some kind of change in our life. But actually change is hard, and it sounds easy, like, yeah, okay, anyone can just say, yeah, I'm going to go make a change, but change is actually profoundly hard, because humans were wired to be creatures of habit. We are very habitual in basically everything we do. And this is, I don't even care how adventurous someone thinks they are, even the most adventurous among us, every time they speak, they use the same accent. They speak with the same accent. It's just a habit. They've formed a habit of speech, right? Probably use the same vocabulary, talk basically the same way. When they go from walking from this side of the room to the other side of the room, chances are they walk with a similar posture and a similar gait as every time they walk. We can tend to recognize people by their walk, their posture. So even things that we don't realize are habitual, we're so habitual in everything we do, and that's what makes change really hard. I mean, think about it. Every single day of our lives, there are things that we are capable of doing, that we should do, and that we want to do, but for whatever reason, we still don't do them. And the reason for that is that change is hard, and we're habitual, and that's why we don't do things, because we have the habit of doing something else. So for example, how many of us have either signed up for a gym membership that we didn't use, or buy a book that we didn't end up reading, or order a class online that we didn't end up taking, or commit to participating in a group and then we didn't end up really wanting to go? I mean, there are all kinds of things that we have the intention in our life, whether it's calling our grandpa more and then the day passes and somehow we don't. There are all kinds of things that we want to do throughout the day, that we can do, that we should do, that we're totally want to do and are capable of doing, but for whatever reason, we don't do them. And that is because humans are wired to be creatures of habit, which is okay, but it does keep us stuck. And when we get stuck, it means that we are acting out in our habitual ways. And if we want to have change in our life, if we finally want to have love in our life, then something has to change, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. So that's why what we're going to do right here is an exercise. And of course, the reason we're doing this exercise is because if we can find fundamental ways to change, then we get unstuck. And when we get unstuck, it means we're changing things in our life, and things get better by change, not by chance. And the thing that we want to change right now is to end our loneliness once and for all, and finally have a different situation in life where we have the love that we want, and we wake up every day next to the person that is crazy about us, and we're crazy about her, and she's amazing, and it's great. And so that's why we're doing this exercise. And this exercise is going to help you think of ways that you can change that maybe we haven't thought about before, because without looking from these different angles, it's sometimes hard to know how we can even change. It's very overwhelming, being creatures of habit and being used to our ways. Sometimes it's hard to see where easy changes are possible, or where important changes can be made that we might not even see. So this is why we're going to do this exercise. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at 3 different perspectives of our life, and that is our physical situation, our emotional situation, and sort of our mental logical situation. And in each of the 3, there are places where we can make simple changes. And for each of those, we're then going to stop and ask, okay, where in those perspectives or realms can we make a simple change in our life that would cause us to get unstuck? So the first realm we're going to talk about is the physical realm. And the physical realm is comprised of literally our bodies and everything that we do. So for example, where we go on a daily basis, after work, where do we spend our time? What do we spend our time doing? Who are we spending our time with? Where are we going? What are the activities that we're participating in? And are there ways that we can start to participate in a different kind of activity, or do something else with our time, or spend some time with, outside of our habitual group of people, but maybe a whole new group of people, or find a way to just physically be in a different situation. So that's one way in which we can physically change our situation. Another way physically we can make a change in our life has to do with just the way we hold ourselves. So whether it's walking with better posture, imagine we just kind of have bad posture, we're always looking at the floor. Maybe there are people around us we're not even noticed. It's simple as that. Just by changing our posture and looking out at the world more, we might see more people than we otherwise see, and at the same time and make eye contact, right? So that's another question, is whether or not you're making eye contact with people as they walk by. That's a simple physical change that we might want to consider. Because think about it, if you're constantly looking at the floor, your soulmate could walk right by you and be looking at you even, and you wouldn't notice, right? That's why we want to always be open, we want to be looking around, we want to be giving the opportunity that if the amazing woman of our dreams walks by, that we can, you can make eye contact with her and let her see you and have that connection that might otherwise be missed. Also, if we hold a more confident posture, there are scientific studies that say that makes us feel more confident in our own skin. So let's say not only do we make eye contact with her, but we're in a confident, we have good posture and feel good about ourselves internally and externally, then maybe, who knows, that puts us obviously in a better position in terms of her being attracted to us. So these are all reasons that have to do with the way we're physically holding our body. Another area of our physical reality that we could take a look at is the way that we are presenting ourselves. Whether we're showing up well-groomed and dressed in a way that makes us feel good about ourselves and our style. Obviously, everyone has their own style, but everyone also knows the difference between walking out looking like you didn't care in the morning versus walking out having put attention into the way that we look and feel when we leave the house. And obviously, we want to be attracted to the woman that we want to date, and she's going to want to find someone who she's attracted to. So just put ourselves in her shoes, the woman of your dreams. What would that woman want to see in you? What would she find the most attractive about you? And then ask yourself, hey, am I showing up as that? And if not, then that could be a great place to start making some positive changes, to get unstuck, to start to call love into our life. Another aspect of the physical realm has to do with whether or not we're achieving our goals that we set out to achieve, whether or not we're making things happen in the real world the way that we say that we're going to, or that we tell ourselves that we're going to. Because when we don't achieve the things that we say we're going to achieve, that's something that we notice about ourselves and can lower our self-esteem. Nathaniel Branden is one of the fathers of self-esteem. He wrote some of the seminal books on self-esteem, and that's one of the things he talks about, is the way that the amount to which we can trust ourselves to achieve our goals in life and to do the things we set out to do, and to kind of be appropriate to life, to get things done in life. If we see ourselves as not able to do that, that can really lower our self-esteem. And self-esteem might seem like something more in the mental realm and in the emotional realm, which it is, but interestingly, it oftentimes has its origins in the physical realm in terms of whether or not we're achieving our goals and doing the things that we need to do to set ourselves up to have success in life. So an example of that would be if I tell myself that every day, if I tell myself I'm gonna go to the gym and I don't go to the gym, if I tell myself I'm gonna make extra phone calls at work or do an extra task at work to start moving myself towards greater success and then I don't do it, those are physical things that I'm failing to do in my life and I'm letting myself down towards my achievement. And so it's important to ask ourselves, are we following through with our commitments? Are we doing the things in life that we say we want to be doing? And so if that's something that we're falling short on, it could be affecting our self-esteem. And that's another thing in the physical sense that we can think about to make change, to get unstuck. Because what we want to do is get unstuck because we want love in our life if we don't have it. And things get better by change. They don't get better by chance. So these are all different things that exist within the physical realm. And the idea here is to choose something that we can start to do to make a change, because change is what will get us unstuck, and because things get better by change, they don't get better by chance. We're going to start by looking at the physical realm and pausing this video, take out a pen and paper, and write down what is a change that you can make in the physical realm, something like what we discussed or something similar to that. What is a change that you can commit to making starting now that will get you unstuck from this physical perspective in a whole new way, so that you can have change in your life, because things get better by chance, they don't get better by change. We want love in our life, so what is a change we can make to change our reality and our life situation? Pause the video and write something down right now. Okay, great. So now the second perspective that we're going to look at is the emotional perspective, or the emotional realm. So we're going to take a look at that for a minute and see where in our emotional existence can we make positive changes, because things get better by change, they don't get better by chance. And our things that have to do with our emotional state are, for example, how we treat ourselves, how we speak to ourselves in our head. Are we saying nice things to ourselves during the day or mean things? You know, there are nice ways we can speak to ourselves, and then there are mean ways. I know I'm guilty of this. I tend to be really cruel to myself sometimes, and I know that that's been painful for the women in my life. If I'm torturing myself, then I'm less pleasant to be around, and so that's something that I've had to work on to stay, happier, have better relationships, and become more attractive, right? I'm not saying that I'm perfect all the time, but these are things that I would look at myself and try and work on in the emotional realm, how kind I am to myself. So you can ask yourself how you treat yourself, how you speak to yourself, and if you're hearing yourself speak to yourself in mean ways, telling yourself you're stupid when you make a mistake, or anything less than loving, kind talk that you would give to a little 5-year-old, then it's a great place to start asking, is that a change I can make in the emotional realm? Also, in the emotional realm are things such as just our feelings and how we feel during the day. Whether we're feeling happiness and enjoyment and contentment through the day and appreciation of the people around us, and whether we're attracting people with good energy, or whether we're depressed and frustrated and easily pissed off and bringing sort of a grumpy, bitter, or more difficult attitude to the situation. What is the majority of the emotions that we feel? Do they tend to be positive, good emotions that are going to attract other people, or do they tend to be negative emotions that would turn people off? It's really normal to struggle in this area. I have struggled in my life in this area. Depression is something that I've had to deal with in my life, feeling unhappy when there's no reason to be unhappy, being gloomy when everything else is great and I could otherwise just be enjoying myself with friends and family on weekends, whatever it may be. There have been times in my life where I've been stuck in a negative energy when I could have been in a positive energy, and that's something that I've really had to work on. And this isn't a video where we're going to get into every single modality or technique there is for fixing emotions, but there are techniques and there are things that can be done for us when we're in a state of depression or gloominess. There are definitely proactive steps that we can take, and to the extent that we're not bringing good attitude and good energy to a situation, that can really impact how attractive we show up to other people and how open we are to meeting new people and how well we connect with the people that we meet, which can definitely affect whether or not the love we want is coming to us. That's a good place to look at. And there are all kinds of videos other than this one, and I'll have ones in the future, and also so many books you can read, so many things we can do to start really fixing ourselves emotionally and start taking responsibility for the emotions that we feel and being proactive towards being more positive. So If you're bringing negative energy to situations, that's one area that you could say maybe do a change in the emotional realm. And another area in the emotional realm is how well we forgive ourselves and other people. Forgiveness is really important. It's really important in relationships to be a forgiving person because everybody makes mistakes. I know I make mistakes all the time. All the human beings that I love in my life, we all make mistakes. And love is harder when there's no forgiveness, right? If someone is going to stop loving me because I make a mistake, then that's going to make me afraid to love that person. If I were to meet someone that when I met her, she was showing me that she doesn't forgive people and gets angry and stays angry, that would be a red flag that I'm not going to be forgiven for mistakes that I'm inevitably going to make in my life. And so we can ask ourselves, are we being a forgiving person? Are we creating an environment where a woman who meets me is going to feel safe with me? Or am I creating an environment where I'm showing myself to be an unforgiving person who won't allow her to be human and will expect perfection? Because that could really scare someone away in ways we don't even realize we're doing it, right? Because we think I know when I'm being a perfectionist with myself, I'm trying to be good, I'm trying to do the right thing, I'm believing in what is right, and I'm standing up for what is right, and that's beautiful. And I think a lot of us, we all want to be a good person, but forgiveness is also important because mistakes do happen, and nobody is perfect. And in love needs a lot of room for forgiveness and a lot of room for loving the person we're with despite the mistakes that they're going to make. So that's another area, an emotional area we can ask ourselves is how forgiving are we being with ourselves, how forgiving are we being with others, and where can we look for opportunities to be more forgiving. Okay, so these are all areas of our emotional lives that we can look at right now and ask, where is there some room for improvement? Whether it's the way that we speak to ourselves, whether it's the energy that we're bringing to situations, or the extent to which we're forgiving ourselves or others, or any other aspect of our emotional life, relationships with our family, relationship with our friends, anything that touches upon our emotional lives. Where can we step in and make a change so that we show up as a better version of ourselves, so that because we're changing, we're getting unstuck in some way, because doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. And if we don't have the love that we want in our life, if we want something different in our life, if we want to end our loneliness once and for all, then we want to get unstuck. And the way to get unstuck is to make a change. And so that's why we're focusing on these 3 different realms. First the physical, now we're on the emotional, next we'll talk about the logical. But for now, you're going to pause the video and ask yourself, where in my emotional life can I start to focus on making change? Even if it doesn't happen overnight, where can you start to focus in the emotional realm? So press stop and answer that question. Great. Okay, so the third and final realm is our mental realm, which includes the thoughts that we think, the stories we tell ourselves about the world, the beliefs that we hold about the world around us, the mindsets that we hold. These are all areas of our mental, like taking a look at ourselves from a more mental perspective and seeing where there might be places where we're stuck and where there might be things that we can improve upon to become a more actualized version of ourselves and get unstuck and make a change for the positive. So in the mental realm, some of the things that are included there are the extent to which we take responsibility over the situations in our life versus how much we blame outside circumstances or act as victims of circumstances in our life. Or in other words, we have a victim mindset. Starting with, for example, whether or not we are taking control over our lives and taking responsibility for the things that happen in our lives, or whether we're acting like a victim and blaming others for all the things in our life. So that's the difference between having a victim mindset, where it's always about blaming outside circumstances, versus having a mindset where we have control over our own lives. It's very easy to look at our life and blame our current situation on other things. For example, I'm single because I'm a lesbian and we're part of a minority, right? Well, there are a lot of lesbians out there and plenty of them are in a relationship, so they didn't have trouble finding love because they're in a minority. So for us to use that as an excuse, or for example, to say I'm not successful because of where I'm from or who my parents were. It's like the story of 2 guys that grew up in the same poor neighborhood in the middle of nowhere, right? You go find them in their 40s, and one of the guys, the one who never left home, who's still in a terrible life situation, poor, can't even find enough money to eat, says, the reason I'm like this is because this is where I'm from. Then you ask his neighbor who grew up to become a multimillionaire, what happened, why are you a multimillionaire? He says, well, I knew what it was like to be poor, and I chose never to have that happen to me. So depending on what our mindsets are and how much we decide that we're a victim of our circumstances, one guy decided, I'm going to take responsibility for my life. I see what being poor is all about. I'm not going to let that happen to me. I'm taking responsibility and get myself out of that situation. Whereas the other person with the same set of circumstances said, I'm stuck this way because this is my situation, right? So the extent to which we buy into a victim mindset can really end up keeping us stuck and keeping us from finding opportunities and keeping us from from self-actualizing into a better version of ourselves. And as we're looking to get unstuck and make change, that's one area that we can start to look at, is whether or not we are taking responsibility for things in our life or whether we are harboring a victim mindset where we blame outside circumstances on our situation. Another thing we can look at in the mental realm are the beliefs that we hold. Just because we believe something doesn't mean that it's true, even though we are totally convinced that it's true. That just because we believe something does not make it true. When you think about, there were people for hundreds of years that believed the earth was flat. That didn't mean that the earth was flat, it just meant that they believed it. And actually, that belief held them back, because had they believed the earth was round, they might have taken more opportunities to explore farther and have more opportunities to meet other, whatever, or conquer the world and be terrible rapists, as ended up happening. But that's not the point. The point is that when we don't, if we are believing that the world is flat when in fact the world is round, we could be missing opportunities. And all of us have beliefs about ourselves that limit us in some way. They're called limiting beliefs. There are beliefs that we hold that aren't the most helpful beliefs in the world. Even if it's as simple as, that person's not nice, if we believe that about the person, we miss the opportunity that we might otherwise have to interact with them and find a cool opportunity and find out that maybe they are really nice. So not everything needs to be as drastic as either the earth is round or the earth is flat, but there are beliefs that we might be holding in our life that are keeping us from getting unstuck, from making changes, from having new opportunities, new ways of seeing the world. And so it's always worth looking at the things that we believe in our life and asking whether or not our beliefs are helping us or holding us back. For example, I am a terrible athlete, and I believe that about myself. And because of that reason, I'm never going to join your lesbian softball team. I'm sure that it's a blast. I'm sure you guys have fun. But my belief is that I would get up to bat, and there's no point in me even trying, because I'm either going to strike out or going to do something stupid, and then I'm not even going to get to first base, and it's just going to be an out. Like, every time I get up to bat, you can just count that as an out. And so why would anyone even want me on their team? So I'm not going to join your baseball team, okay? That's literally my belief, and I know that maybe that is not really true, and maybe I'd be fine, and maybe I'd be a great contribution to a team and have all kinds of fun, but my belief keeps me from ever even remotely wanting to. And I own that about myself, and I accept it. But my point is, you can see here how if I was single, maybe the love of my life would be on that lesbian softball team, and maybe I'm missing out on some really, really fun, incredible times. And everyone has things like that, beliefs in their life that otherwise keep them from really good opportunities that they otherwise could take. So it's worth looking in your life and asking, what do I believe about myself that is keeping me stuck in ways where I could otherwise make a really positive change or have new opportunities come into my life? The important thing to understand here is that we have total choice over the thoughts in our heads. For the most part, we don't really exercise our capacity to choose our thoughts, because we're creatures of habit. As we were saying, we get stuck. And part of the way in which we're stuck in life are having the same mental maps, mental habits over and over again. We kind of think the same thoughts, we hold the same opinions, we kind of go through the same mental rotation day after day about the things in our lives. But ultimately, just because we think something doesn't mean that we have to think something. And we have total choice to choose a more empowering thought. And so it's worth looking at your life and asking, where can I start to really choose empowering thoughts? Like telling myself, instead of saying, we're a part of a minority and it's really, really hard to meet women and life sucks, and every time I go out, the only women I see are women I've known for the whole time I've been in this stupid city, whatever. We can tell ourselves that story, or we can say to ourselves, hot lesbians are everywhere, and everywhere I go is a new opportunity to meet someone, and I hope I look good tonight, or whatever it is that we might do that would make ourselves feel really good and excited about the times that are to come, right? So it's worth looking at the thoughts that we hold and asking ourselves, are these thoughts that are making us feel better or making us feel worse? And when we're thinking thoughts that are not empowering us, we have total choice to pick better thoughts. So in the mental realm, pause this video and ask yourself, where is something in the mental realm that I can go to work and making change in? Where can I be taking responsibility over my life where I'm otherwise walking around with the victim mindset? What are some beliefs that are getting in my way? Okay, what are some thoughts that I'm having that I should be choosing a more empowering thought in this moment, right? So those are all things in the mental realm. So that is the third realm. We've already talked about the physical, we already talked about the emotional. Now what the idea is, in all three realms, we want to make a change, because things get better by change, they don't get better by chance. And if we're stuck and if we don't have the love that we want, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again to get and expecting to get different results. So the only way to get different results is to do something different. And we looked at the physical realm, we looked at the emotional realm. This is the last realm. We're going to look in mental habits and mentally, where can we start showing up as a better version of ourselves and get ourselves unstuck and make a positive change in our life. So pause the video, contemplate the mental space, and write that down, what that answer is. Amazing. So now you have three major changes, or not, you don't even need to be major, but three changes that you can make in your life. One of them in the physical realm, one in the emotional realm, and one of them in the mental realm. And this is literally looking at your life from three totally different perspectives. And it is a great way to start to get unstuck in your life. Because if you're not getting the results that you want in your life, if things aren't as you want them, the love that you so long for isn't yet here, then the way to start to change that is to make change, because things get better by change, they don't get better by chance. So in order to finally call her into your life, and you know what? Wherever she is, this woman that is going to be your better half, your best friend, the girl of your dreams, she misses you just as much as you miss her. I promise you that. She's just as frustrated as you are that she doesn't know your number and can't call you. She's going to be so into you when you meet. She's going to be obsessed with you. She's going to think you're so hot. You're going to have so much fun together. You're going to have the best time. It is so worth it to make these changes to find her. And to do it not just for you, but for her, because as I said, she's just as lonely as you are, and this hurts her too. And when you feel that pain in your chest, that loneliness, that longing for the person that's going to fill up your heart, when you feel that, understand that it might not only be your energy that you're feeling there, but hers. And it might be her longing for you too. So when you feel it, just say, I promise you, I'm not going to settle, and I'm not going to give up, and I'm not going to stop until I find you, and I'm going to do what I have to do to change into the better woman that can give you the love that you need. So commit that to yourself, commit that to her, and get started on these three changes that you can right now start to make to bring a whole new reality into your life. And I am so excited for her and you to finally meet. Until that time, don't forget that hot lesbians are everywhere, and that the love you want is on her way into your life in perfect timing. If you want more, go find me. I have a podcast called Women Wanting Women. It's on iTunes. You can look up Women Wanting Women, or also find me at womenwantingwomen.com, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.